So you get back. Now you go full active duty. You become a soldier by profession.
Right. So I do what we call a transfer to the regular force, and then on top of that, usually you're supposed to go through training again, depending on your level of experience. Because I was only about 3 years, so I should have gone through what's called battle school, and that's the regular Army's battle school to become an infantry soldier. For whatever reason, the decision was made that I wouldn't.
Okay, so you don't go back in, but you are back active duty, and now you'd think that Jody was all super squared away now, but you weren't, were you?
Well, it was a rough transition, Jocko.
You got arrested.
Well, yeah, that came after. Yeah,
You're active duty, though, right?
Well, yeah, I'm a full-time private
Soldier.
I was a corporal in the reserves, right? Busted back down to private. Show up. There's a lot of politics going on right now and at this time because the regular Army's being told it has to take reserves, whereas before it was like if you need them, you can take them. Now it's even if you don't need them, you're going to take 30%. So you have a battalion of infantry guys. Let's say one RCR at full strength is usually at this time it was about 700. Cut 30% off of active duty, good to go guys, and now they're put aside, and 30% reservists show up to take their spot.
Ouch.
Yeah. So this was mandated by our headquarters, and so the politics within the unit was, we're allowed to swear on this, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. The Reg Force guys were all like, fuck you, and the horse you came in on, and that horse's mom, and anybody else associated with that horse. I show up. They thought because I was a reserve, because the RCR has a reserve battalion. So they thought I was a reserve RCR. Right. And then when they found out I was a direct entry, which means I go directly from the reserves into the Reg Force without going through the RCR battle school. Huh? So they just gave you that cat badge? Well, yeah, but I did basic training in the reserves 3 years ago. Oh, you did, huh? And I got, man, it was rough.
Right.
It was rough, but it
and it got rougher because you got in trouble.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know why you. By the way, just so you know, you wrote this in the book that's been published. So
yeah.
Acting like this didn't happen now is a little bit too late. You got arrested.
I did get arrested. I don't trust anyone who hasn't at least been handcuffed.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Right. I made a mistake. So we were the preamble to this was that I did eventually get sent to the RCR battle school, and that's where I did get arrested. Another one of the trainees and I, the whole platoon went out. Of course, being young men, we somehow found ourselves at a gentleman's nightclub, and we were enjoying our evening, and one of the guys who decided he wanted to get some cocaine. And I was, how old was I, 20? I had never even seen the stuff except for in Miami Vice. And I'm like, what's the point? We're already here. We're having fun. I'm already got a few drinks, got some girls sitting with us. Why leave? And he was adamant. So I guess in his civilian life, this was something he got into. And in my mind, I was just like, okay, so he's going to like leave on his own and go somewhere where, like in Miami Vice, it's always like the worst part of town.
Right.
Guess what? It was the worst part of town. So I'm like, okay, I'm gonna go with you. I don't need any, but I'll be there in case they try to mug you or jump you. Turns out he was buying it from an undercover cop, because like who else are you gonna buy it off, right? And then after they bust us, so we're like walking back to the club. I'm like, okay, finally, right? I can get back and start hanging with the girls again, start getting my drink on. We get tackled by guys bigger than you and I. And like they're the narc guys, and they're like, "What are you doing? You crazy?" They look at our ID. You guys are in the army, and you're going to smoke crack. And I'm like, "What?" Like, I look at the guy. I'm like, "What's he talking about?" He's like, "Well, they might not have had any coke, so I might have bought." And I'm like, "Oh my gosh!" I'm just like, but now that's the reality of my life,
Right?
And I can't. There's no going back. There's no changing it. And it was At the time, I described it as the worst year of my life, but maybe it was the best, the subsequent year, because it taught me a lot about myself.
Yeah, and that's the main reason why I kind of wanted to tell that. Yeah, I wanted you to talk about that because, number one, like you said, it's a mistake that you made that, you know, I've had that feeling too before where you're just like, okay, this is my reality now. There's you can't go backwards.
Yeah.
You're cuffed.
Yeah.
And yet you transitioned from it. And in the book, here's how you kind of talk about that transition because they're going to send you back to Meaford. What's it, Meaford?
Meaford was the battle school.
So they're going to send you to the battle school for another crack at it. Your third crack at it.
My second crack at battle school, but my third infantry course.
Indoctrination.
Yeah.
So here's what you did. And by the way, you were teeter-tottering this whole time. They don't know if they're going to kick you out. They might let you in. Because, just so everybody knows, the cops even took your side and, you know, they said, hey, this guy didn't have anything to do with it. But it didn't matter. The military will sometimes
guilty by association,
guilty
right?
by association.
So the police department was like, Jody, you clearly had nothing to do with it. But yeah, guilty by association.
Right. And so they go back and forth. Finally, you get orders. Okay, we're going to let you stay in. And now you say this. I had two choices. I could be pissed off forever and feel hard done by, or I could go back to Mefford with a new attitude and make the best of it. I could keep my head high and get off the bus with the shiniest boots, the best pressed uniform, the best laid out kit, and the best attitude and be in the best shape of anybody there. And that's what you did.
That's what I did.
So anybody that's out there that's listening to this podcast that hit a little bump in the road, that's what you do. You show up with the best attitude, the best shape, with your head held high, and you get after it.
Extreme ownership. You got to own it.
Yeah.
There's no hiding from it. There's no explaining your way out of it. There's no sideways maneuver you're going to make. You're that guy. I was that guy. Oh, there's that guy.
Yeah.